as theirs. We are instructed that the demonic leader, known sometimes as Satan, daily accuses mankind before the Creator for just such purposes. He is merely claiming his right to act, due to these universal laws described to us in the Book of Enoch, which Christians have been fooled into thinking is not Scripture. In ways such as this, demonic or jinn possession can easily occur, and no doubt the school uses methods such as meditation and chanting, which we now know is merely a way of creating an atmosphere of the correct vibrational frequencies whereby the demonic can enter in and happily exist. Reference Arizona Wilder and her knowledge of the satanic rituals and the calling down of the ancient ones. The first thing these demonic or lower realm entities then try to accomplish is to find an anchor or a vessel whereby they can prolong their stay here, such as a person's physical body, where life holds a vastly greater appeal. Making our minds passive or vacant, coupled with inviting unseen entities through chanting, is also an open invitation for demonic possession. These entities are only too happy to stay hidden within such people and gently manipulate them as time goes on, increasing their so-called abilities to tune in. This then further perpetuates what the students are being taught. It is in fact one of life experiences that anything which backs up what is being said creates a belief in the lessons themselves. The author continues, tension and chaos are a natural part of the process when we are giving birth to a new and better way. This is the Ascended Master's subtle way of easing the minds of their students when they have the sensations of something not being quite right, when encountering weirdness or even possessions. She then goes on to mention that the Ascended Masters are here to help us with humanity's freedom. Humanity would be free simply by these Ascended Masters leaving us well alone and getting the heck off of our planet and out of our skies. Then we would be free from all of their manipulations and be left to come to the knowledge of our true Creator on our own. She then goes on to use the Ascended Master's favourite method of misleading us, quoting biblical verses and twisting the truth of them to suit their agenda. Matthew 10:7-8. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Cure the sick, raise the dead, which is emboldened, cleanse lepers, and drive out demons. More beneficial to us would be this version. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse lepers, and drive out demons, emboldening the drive out demons part rather than the raise the dead bit. Analysis of the small chapter in the beginning. It starts with, in the beginning was consciousness, which is deception. The truth is, in the beginning was the Alpha and the Omega, the Supreme Creator. Soon after she writes, to do this, the One gave birth to individualized aspects of itself. The One now became the I Am, and its individualized aspects, that I Am. A clever misdirection indeed. In teaching this, the fallen angels and jinn are clinging on to their claim of divinity, in that they are claiming to be just smaller individual versions of the Creator himself. Since when does the pot become like the potter? If anyone takes on board this foundational teaching of theirs, they begin to lay their foundation of sand on which all other lies are added and compounded. It goes on with, they were identical to their parent, the I Am, which is obvious deception to anyone not wholly given over to their lies. So no, they were not. They could not create, although they had imagination. They could conceive their own thoughts, and yet they could not originate anything of substance. They could visualize, but only via mental manipulations of what was already in existence. It is the same lie that they told to the ancient people of Sumer and Babylon. Back then they claimed to be gods instead of mere creations of the one God. The Sumerians fell for it just like the New Agers are today. There is nothing new under the sun. It goes on with, slowly as they used their energy over time, they built many complex patterns of thought. In such an act of creation, light was born. When the flames saw what they had brought into being, they marvelled at its beauty. Now they are claiming that they brought light itself into being. The Supreme Creator is the only original source of all light and love. They are so proud and boastful that they continue to claim the Father's creations as their own. It's even more bizarre when we consider that as spirit entities themselves, they were originally manifestations of our Creator's light and breath. How can they claim to have created light, when light itself must have existed before them in order for them to be initially created? It's laughable, really. The book does have many redeeming factors, though. For example, the chapter called Our Intent has many universal spiritual truths, such as the things that we put out into the universe can either come back to either bless us or curse us. This is a chapter worth reading, albeit not blindly. To quote one section, "We simply must start living our lives in honesty and integrity, because any intent to deceive and lie will only bring pain. For example, one person can help another with genuine concern as their motive. In this case, he or she will reap a blessing from that action. Another person can perform that same service, but if his or her intent is to gain financial reward for selfish reasons, he or she will reap a negative result. Selfish motives reap selfishness from others, which results in other people using you for their personal gain. This law is absolute, and the sooner people start to operate within the law, instead of breaking the law, the better their lives will be. This may not be easy for those who have spent their lives releasing uncontrolled emotions on everyone, with no regard for the results of their actions. However, if you want to improve your life, and eventually gain freedom, you must begin to examine your motives and intentions for everything you do. I believe this to be the long way round of saying, love your neighbour as yourself, the 11th commandment that we so readily forget. However, at the end of the same chapter, she goes on to write, Jesus fed 5,000 people with just 1 loaf of bread and 2 fishes, because he was a master of his physical world. All that he desired manifested, without physical labour. Yahushua Messiah could do things like this, and walk on water, because he was the great I Am in the flesh, and could therefore both create something from nothing, and because it was him that brought water into existence, not because he obtained enlightenment or became an ascended master. Krishna could not do this, Buddha could not do this, and nor can Jesus Sananda or Saint Germain. Buddha and Krishna were after all merely pawns of these same so-called ascended masters. Therefore it was these same fallen spirits that gave historical figures such as these any abilities they may have had, through first being possessed. For example, many so-called Christians today flock to the meetings of Benny Hinn and his ilk, purely because they are wowed by the demonic trickery that they knowingly employ, and all for their personal gain. The strong delusions, lying signs and wonders are granted them purely because it serves the demonic end. It will be a great day in this universe when these wolves in sheep's clothing truly get their just rewards. Jhershierra ends the chapter with, life was never meant to be a struggle. We just created it that way. The fallen ones are just passing the buck for their initial interference. The next chapter, called Escaping Self-Centeredness, goes on with, we must remember that all things are the I Am